everyone, Amanda here from scrimpingmummy.co.uk. Thanks for joining me today. And today I'm going to make a lovely card using So Much Love. And I'm going to use an old card fancy fold kind of design with a little bit of a twist that I've added just to simplify it and to suit my own needs. So as well as this, I'm using the beautiful Ornate Garden Ornate Layers, I beg your pardon. These are beautiful rectangular thinlits and fancy bits here, look. And I'm going to use them to create my card base. Okay, so first of all, I'm just going to very quickly show you. So I've used a larger flower here. I've mounted it on a large block, and I like to use grey ink so that you can see the lines, but when you've coloured it, it's not as harsh as maybe using black ink. Okay, I use various things to colour. I love sharing my colouring on social media. If you go on my Instagram, on my Facebook, I share lots and lots of colouring. I just love it. I'm not an expert. I'm not, the world's greatest colourer, but I just love it. I love it. I really do. So what I do is I try and keep my colour palette as simple as possible, and I'll go for a light and dark of each one. Alright, so for the leaves, for example, I've got light old olive and dark old olive, and then for my actual rose I've picked light rococo rose, and then I've picked light cherry cobbler, and that's because I don't have the opposite, the darker version of that, so I'm making do. I don't need to buy everything, so I pick shades, similar shades. Right, so as far as the leaves go, I'm just going to show you a very little bit of the colouring. Otherwise, I do spend quite a while doing the colouring because I enjoy it and I like taking my time. So I'll just start and very gently add the colour on with the brush tip whenever possible, because the brush tip means you're colouring faster. Alright, I think this is starting to run out. I've used it an awful lot. So I will do that. Alright. Now, does it bleed? Yes, it will bleed through to the other side. This is just standard Whisper White cardstock. It's the thinner one, but it doesn't matter if it bleeds through because I'm going to layer it up. I wouldn't do it straight onto a card front without anything at the back. The thicker Whisper White, it might not bleed as much. Does it bleed out of the lines? There is different kinds of inks that you can use to get better results. I just use the Stampin' Up! Ink, and I'm just very careful. If you be really careful and don't go splodging everywhere, there's no reason why it should bleed outside of the lines. It never does for me, and if it does, it doesn't really matter. The advice is to use the Memento, but I don't like the harsh blackness, so I'm using Smoky Slate. And then what I do is, where I think there's there might be some darker patches, I'll add a darker colour, and I just very gently add that on. It might be darker there, it might be darker up the middle, it might be darker just at the bottom, at the base there. Alright, and then get my lightest colour for the flower, and I will just literally whack that on all over, smoosh it on all over, just get it coloured. It doesn't matter, I don't care if there's lines, I don't care, I just enjoy doing it. I don't do it to win any awards with my colouring, because when this is on a card with, in the context of a card, along with all the other things, if there are slight imperfections, nobody's going to go, ooh, that colouring's a little bit dodgy. They're going to go, wow, you've taken the time to hand colour that, and it looks absolutely lovely. That's the only response you're going to get. Alright, so I'll just colour all of that, literally, just get it on with the brush tip all over. And then I will just go with a darker colour, and I'm hoping I've got the right colours that I used earlier, and I will just go with what I call the bullet tip, and I'll go where I think the darker bits are. And Stampin' Up! Often help you because they'll give you where the shading would be, and so you can follow along with that. Okay, so like where the edges of those petals are rolled over there, that would be darker. And then I'll just go and I'll think, okay, so there'd be shading there where them petals are crossed over. That would probably be darker there. And I'll just go in and I'll add darker patches. And at first, it looks, you know, you might think, oh, that looks a bit rubbish. But as you go in, okay, then you go in afterwards with your blend pen, and this is where the magic happens. And all you have to do is just literally go around like so in a circle. Alright, just go around. It will blend those colours together. Okay, just go around and it helps it blend. And then what I do, once I've got the colours that I like, is I'll go back in with the darker colour and I'll just go around the edges of the petals to accentuate them where the grey was. Alright, and then just as I'm going, I'll just keep doing it, and it can look a bit rubbish until you've done the whole thing and you've blended the whole thing. And you just keep going in with your blend pen and you blend it, and they all end up merging together, and you just end up with something. If you just keep at it, honestly, I haven't got time to show fully, but you'll end up with something like that. Alright, so you've just got bits of light and dark shades just to make it stand out rather than being just a flat colour. Alright, my shading's not perfect, like I say, but it doesn't matter. I have fun and I love doing it. So you can see here like the darker tones of the green, and you just keep going until you get a colour you like. And I will use blend pens and watercolour pencils, and I'll use them in conjunction with each other if I feel it's necessary. You know, don't just use one, I'll mix and match, and if I think I'm going to get a nicer colour from a watercolour pencil, I'll use that, and then I'll go over the top. And I just keep mixing it. It's just like doing your makeup or anything else, or if you're a cook, or if you like wine, or if you're good at gardening. It's all trial and error, and it's mixing and matching things together. So that's our focus for our card. So what I've got here now, I've cut some of the ornate layers. I've got 2 larger ones in white. I've got 2 medium ones in, I think those are actually mixed. I don't think those are the same colour. It looks like one's Rich Raspberry, and it looks like one's, what's that, Blackberry Bliss. They're meant to be the same, but never mind, I'm not going to waste it. And then I've got 2 of the smaller ones. Alright, and then I have used one of the fancy pieces now. I have added some of the, what's it called? I can't remember what the name of it is. But it's basically a layer that you put underneath your die cuts to add a glue to the bottom. Alright, and it's like so. So then you take your die cut out, and when you've popped all these bits out like so, you peel that back and it'll stick on. So what I need to do with that is I just need to cut that a little bit to size. So I'm just going to trim that using my, I did think it cut the shape out, but it actually doesn't cut the shape out. So that's a bit annoying. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut it to size, and then I'm going to just peel the sticky off the back, and it should be fine. Okay. One day I'll do a video where I do a bit more in depth about colouring, but I don't profess to be an expert, so I just kind of just make it up as I go along with the colouring, and just add layers and add colours that I like, and just think, you know, when it comes to shading and stuff, I just kind of think of ways to accentuate the shapes that I'm making, and that is literally as simple as that. So with this one, I'm just literally trimming it till I'm happy, and that's the joy of this little dude here, is ace. I love it. Alright, so when I'm ready to use this, I'll pop all of these fellas out. I'll peel the back off, and that should just be able to stick onto my card. Yeah, there we go. So you peel the back off. I don't know if it's called stick and peel or something. I honestly can't remember what it's called. Alright, so I'll pull all the backing off. It should pull all of those little slippery little suckers out, any that there are. I don't have, there's a really good tool in the catalogue, and it's like a brush, a die brush, and you buy that and then you roll over the die cuts with the brush, and it gets all these slippery little slimy little suckers out, and it makes your life a lot easier. And I don't have one. I think it's time I got one. to be honest. So I'm just going to bob that to one side, okay. And then what we're going to do is we're going to start and build our card. Now I'm going to do a traditional fancy fold, but I'm going to do it in a slightly different way because I'm not going to have an actual card base. I'm just going to use my dies. So the first thing I'm going to do is layer up my dies with my glue. So I'm going to put my odd cardstock. I'm crafting late at night and it's quite dark in my craft room, and so I've not noticed that I've cut two that are different colours, but never mind, we're not going to waste it. And this is okay. Now you could layer these with foam tape or dimensionals if you like, if you want lots and lots of dimension. I try and keep mine flat so that if they're to go in the mail, they go as a, you know, as a letter rather than a huge expensive parcel. So then my next layer goes on like so. Alright, beautiful. Already that's beautiful. You could use these for lots of things. That would look lovely on the top of a box. It would look lovely in a journal or a mini album. Lots and lots of uses for these dies. They're beautiful, really are beautiful, and they cut lovely as well. The only one I struggled with when I cut was the larger one with the very small detail on the outside, and I quickly solved it by just layering up. I put some extra cardstock underneath and I layered up. Right, so on my flower I'm going to use some dimensionals, okay. So let's just get some of those strategically placed on there. Want quite a few. This is going to be what I call a luxurious card, okay. And then I'll show you the mechanism of how I'm going to attach these two panels together. To do, I can't even remember the name, my memory's going. I can't even remember the name of the style of card, but you'll know what I mean. When it folds down onto each other. And so then we can layer up the second one, and this is going to be the base. Okay. We'll start and speed it up a bit. Don't forget, when I'm doing the tutorials, I do them as quick as I can so that it's not boring. You know, when you're doing it yourself, you take a lot more time. Be careful. Okay. There's my. And they just layer up. All you've got to do is take the time to cut them out, get the little sneaky little suckers out, and then you layer them up and boom, look at that. It's so worth it. How beautiful are those? So I'm going to make one of those cards where it stands up like that and then it folds flat, but I'm just doing it a little bit different because normally you've got to do a card base and do all funky scoring, and I'm not doing that. I'm just going to show you how to make the mechanism for it really easily. So what I've done is I've cut this to about 2 inches wide. I've scored at 2 inches, alright, and then I've measured the width of my card, and whatever the width of your card, that's what this measurement needs to be. So that 2 inches is going to go underneath, alright, and then the next length is the width of your card. I think this is 3 7/8, so you'd score that at 3 7/8. So first of all, I've cut my strip to 2 inches by whatever. I didn't really know because, you know, you can adjust it to fit. So using this method, it doesn't matter how wide your card is, just use this method. So cut it to 2 inches, cut a strip, score it at 2 at first, because that's going to adhere at the bottom. Then see how wide your card is. This is 3 7/8, so I've cut it at 3 7/8. And then when I've cut it, I fold that piece in half. Quite simply, that's it. And so all I need to do now is on the inside there, let's put some glue, okay. And we're going to attach that to the bottom. Alright, try and find the middle part. I mean, if you want to measure it, you can measure it. I'm not that particular. And I've used a piece of scrap here as well because I was working it out as I was going. So I'm just about eyeballing it. Give it a little bit of wiggle room. Give that a press. And then where you have folded in half, you only want glue on the bottom half. Okay, so just put glue on that bottom half that you've scored. Then push that flat, stick your other one on the top. Alright, and press that and wait for it to dry. Alright, just give that a minute to dry. And while that's drying, you can stamp yourself a sentiment. I've just stamped really quickly here for you and trimmed it with my little trimmer and inked around the edges. Alright, so once that's dry, then your mechanism will fold up like so. Okay, so you've got that like a Z. Alright, just like the traditional, but we're not having to measure a card base, we're saving on card because we're only using a strip. Alright, and then it will lift up like so. Now you need something here to prop it up. Okay, so it will go up and down like that, okay? But we're saving on cardstock with this idea, and we're able to use our beautiful, beautiful dies. We don't have to have a load of layering on the back. So I've got this that I've, let me just fold it up. I've cut. I'm just going to stick that in the middle. I don't even know if I like it, but we'll have it. Alright. So you can cut those to whatever size you like. In fact, I don't like it. I'm not having that. Get off. I don't like it. I don't like that piece. It doesn't look nice. It's a beautiful, beautiful shape, but it's not right for my card. So I'm changing my mind and I'm not having it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just load up my sentiment with some dimensionals. Alright. And what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to double up on the dimensionals. So I'm going to put one lot of dimensionals, then I'm going to stick another lot of dimensionals on the top of there. And then that will stop, that will act as a stopper for the card. Alright, 1, 2, 3. And using this mechanism, instead of folding a whole card base, you could use whatever fancy dies you've got to make yourself this style of card whose name I've forgotten. But you know what it is. You've all seen them before, where they go like so. And you could always double that card up if you think it's a little bit weak or a little bit no good. And that smudge does that. That sentiment's smudged, never mind. It looks dreamy and fun. Doesn't matter that it's a bit smudgy. It looks like I've done ghostwriting. And then that will stand up like so. Okay, let me see if you can see. There you go. Alright. Okay. And then you can get some dimensionals. Not dimensionals. These are not dimensionals. These are doofers. Doofers, they are gems, and I'm going to use my dark cherry cobbler, I think, and colour some of these in the colour that I want, and then I can add some to my card if I like, which I do. I like it very much. And put one there. Let me just move it up a bit. Oh, wasn't quite dry that. Take time and let them dry in between. Don't rush like I am. Alright. And then what I'm going to do, I'll put one at the other side as well. And then just because I've got lots of them and I can throw them around like candy if I like, put my card flat, and then I'm going to add a little diamante and where these little rosebuds are. Just for a little bit more fancy because I can and I like sparkles. Alright, but you get the bare basics of that fold and that mechanism that you can create so that you can use any die cuts to make yourself one of those fancy fold cards without having to measure all of the cardstock, searching for the measurements. Just measure the width of the card. So all you do is measure the width of the card, then fold it in half to make the mechanism, add a 2-inch bit to the bottom, and there you go. You can use them fancy dies. The light's awful, the card probably looks rubbish, but it's absolutely beautiful in real life. So there you go, and that's using the Ornate Layers dies, which are absolutely beautiful and well worth you know, fussing about getting the little bits and bobs out. I hope you'll give that a try. I hope you'll bear that little strip mechanism in mind for creating that style of card instead of having to do a full card base and going through all the stress of measuring. Just do it like that. It's a lot easier. Thanks for watching, and also it will fold flat like that to then go in the mail. Take care, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.